Hello, greetings and salutations. I'm Dharmamitra Stefani, and this is my video blog. And I'm just checking in because it's been a little while. I've been struggling because everything is so perfect, and I will always say that everything is perfect just as it is in this very moment. And that's ultimately true. And then there are those subjective feelings of, how do you feel? I feel crappy. It's perfect because I've been inner exploration or seeking happiness, the meaning of life, existential angst has been the main impetus of my life. Ever since I was 18, and I was just a hedonistic, arrogant prick. And I knew it all. And I was just doing whatever I wanted. And I was doing a lot of LSD. And my impetus was hedonism. It was just pure self-indulgence. And I ended up, without looking, finding myself and having all these experiences. And I've talked about it before. And if you've ever read Be Here Now by Ram Dass, the iconical classic, the first few pages talks about his experience with LSD and then going to India to find, and then reading the book, Tibetan Book of the Dead, and this 800-year-old book describing the experiences that they were having. And so realizing that there was something more to this experience, collective unconscious, transcendental reality, blah, 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 blah. But that was real. And these roles that we play, the masks are facades. And so that Dr. Richard Alpert, who is a Harvard professor who ended up taking the LSD and then realizing that after the LSD wore out, the experience rolled out. The experience wore off. And he was left wanting more. And so he went to India. And tells the story of meeting, the Maharaji and the Maharaji taking an absurd amount of LSD and it having no effect on him. And it confirmed his suspicion that state of mind that he was able to achieve through drugs, chemically induced spiritual awakening, was innate. And maybe innate's not the right word. I don't know if it was innate in his case, but it was naturally present, organically present in Nisargadatta, I think his name is. He also always refers to him as Maharaji. It's Wayne Dyer that talks about Nisargadatta, but that's a tangent. If they're the same person or not, it really doesn't matter. The point is ultimate reality, transcendental truth. There's no separation between anything. Some people use the word God, and some people do this. And there's nothing out there that isn't in here. And that was my great spiritual awakening. True. Like Eckhart Tolle talks about in The Power of Now, when I was in severe suffering and then it just stopped. I was had accepted that I was going to kill myself, and I accepted death. And I died, figuratively speaking. And when I died, Jeff Stefani, or the thoughts and the feelings fell away. I was left with pure consciousness, pure awareness. And I saw, it's the Heart Sutra, I saw the emptiness of all 5 skandhas and sundered the bonds that caused me suffering. And that didn't go away. And then I had lots of, still on this role that I play, this person that I am, you know, because I have an ego. I can see through it, but it still exists. I don't claim to be enlightened, just claim to, I just have my experience, and enough with labels and telling you what it is. I have my experience and I know what I know. So I know this isn't real, ultimately, and yet, in the world of form, this is how I interact. And I use the internet. And that's the thing. And then I went through psychoanalysis because I had all this karmic momentum, you know, samskaras as they're called. This habit energy. And these memories, so filled with fear, all based on memories. Memories of being a child with a Maserati mind and an old soul. These are terms that other people have used repeatedly. And my parents didn't provide me with what I needed. So at a young age, I felt alone and abandoned and dependent upon their approval, and I was confused, and I didn't receive the type of support and influences and a matrix, a free space on which to explore. You know, I knew things that my parents didn't at 7 and 8 years old, intuitively and such, and I had no one to help me as a child. So even though I have the best, most loving, supportive parents in the world, I had major abandonment issues. And that's where the psychoanalysis came in. And I got back to that. Traveled that string back. I like to use the analogy of life is this string, yarn, and it gets into these big knots, you know. And you can do things like take an iron to it and flatten that out so the effects of it and the appearance of it is less. And that's what I think a lot of medication and I think a lot of psychotherapy does. You know, just talking about it, you feel better. But it's basically symptomatic relief. You know, like it's like a massage compared to craniosacral or energy work, where you go back and you actually unwind the fascia or balance the energy attunements. But for me, there's no quick fix. There was no laying of hands. I had to go back on the front line and go through the trenches and follow that thread all the way back and go through those experiences and see them for what they are and realize that so much of what hinders me today is the reaction of a child, is the memory of a child. A 7-year-old, an 8-year-old, a 12-year-old who didn't know how to deal with the death of my grandfather, or the fact that I knew things to be true and everyone else around me didn't, and so I was conflicted. And so that led to a lot of, I just turned 40. I was a very happy child. And then I spent 37 years searching, trying everything. I found the Buddha Dharma, and that is the path to liberation. Absolutely transcendental. Transcends. But what works for you works for you. It doesn't matter what you call it. Once you awaken and you see things for what they are, this idea of God being some higher power that's an outside something, or it's hard to relate sometimes to people that still see divinity as something else other than everything. My higher power is my higher self. And I know that is, I experienced it, I know it's the truth. So what's the point of all this? The point of all this is that, I was an addict, an alcoholic. I recovered from I have multiple years of sobriety, and I issues with everything, and depression, anxiety, sexuality, all that. Anything you can think of, just about. Discrimination. Even though I'm a white kid in Michigan, it's a long story. But anyhow, I have my experience. And I put in a lot of work, and I never gave up. And it has all paid off. And I'm so grateful. And all I want to do is to tell, to share, to help, to do what I can. That's why I'm into blogging. That's why I'm into social media marketing, or search engine optimization and search engine marketing, because I see the web as the great playing field leavener. It makes bread rise, but it also levels the playing field. It gives everybody an opportunity. People like myself who have a genuine spiritual experience and awakening, and have something to offer people, and have something to learn, but have something to offer, and are trying to connect. This levels the playing field, Ford Motor Company and Coca-Cola and Eckhart Tolle. And I don't mean to include Eckhart Tolle because he's one of my root teachers with Ford Motor Company or Coca-Cola, or say that there's anything wrong with those. All I'm saying is they have lots of money, and they have, their marketing campaigns have big budgets. But I don't have any budget. I just have the resources that are available to me for free. And that's why I study, and that's why I work in search engine marketing and optimization, so that I can learn, so that I do level the playing field, so that my message has a voice that can be heard along the yells of the Super Bowl, and if you drove this car or smoked this cigarette or did this whatever, then you'd be happy, or you just need to read this book, or you just need to read... I mean, there's tons of... I recommend spiritual books all the time, but ultimately, awakening isn't about adding more things to us. It's what I did. It's stopping, it's ceasing, it's peeling away the layers of the onion and realizing what ultimately exists. Nothing, really, when you get to the core of an onion. There's sort of a sprout there, but the analogy ends there. Because when you get to the middle, you realize there's nothing. Everything is. But the difference between hypothetically knowing that and experiencing that is different. So anyhow, my point is that all I wanted to do through Facebook and Twitter and this Dharmamitra.org, http://Dharma, DHARMAMITRA, Dharmamitra, period, or .org. That's the name of my blog. Because I know what it's like to suffer. I spent 37 years seeking. And I found it. I found the signposts that the Buddha left behind. And I met fellow seekers, fellow Buddhists. But signpost, you can lead a horse to water, you can't make him drink. Well, I needed to drink. And I've tasted the water. And it's okay to drink this Kool-Aid. I am happy. I am successful. I am grateful. I love myself. I'm single. I'm content. I'm happy with that. I have my dog. I have my flowers, orchids, the Buddha, the Dharma, all inside of me. You could just reading, Man's Search for Life by Viktor Frankl and going to the concentration camp and having all your possessions ripped away and your whole body shaved and you're standing there naked. And the realization hits you that he was a doctor in his life before that, a specialist, and all of a sudden now nothing, except that's not true. Those facades are all ripped away. But his fundamental nature is changeless. So there is no God out there to personal creator God. Those who concur will concur, and those who don't. It really doesn't matter. But I mean, that's the reality. And yet, there is, and it's right here, and it's right there. It's in all of us. It's in everything. It is. Anyhow, those are all tangents on things that I could talk about forever. But what I want to say is that I've been banging my head going, well, I'm just trying to help. And I go to AA meetings and scratch that. I go to 12-step groups and I share my message and I hear people struggling. I'm like, dude, I'm telling, I can help you. I've been there. Let me help you. And people will only hear what they're ready to hear. And that is the point of my blog today. I can't control who sees this. And I can't control what you see when you see this. Or what you believe. But I can tell you that I'm here. And that I'm trying. And when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And when the teacher is ready, the student will appear. So, that's what this is about. Thank you. That's all I have. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dhammaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Nama, Om Ahong. Love, blessings, and perfection to all. Come back soon and connect with me. Dharmamitra.jeff@gmail.com or through my blog, Facebook, MySpace, Twitter, whatever. Peace out, yo.